Divine Feminine, listen closely. Something inside you has changed, and the universe felt it. The fear that once controlled you has finally released its grip. The emotions that once overwhelmed you now move through you with clarity. The version of you that begged for signs and questioned every silence no longer exists. You stepped into a deeper knowing. You stopped chasing what your soul already belongs to. You didn't give up, you rose up. And because of that, everything around you is shifting. There is a reason the energy feels heavier. There is a reason the dreams feel more real. There is a reason your heart feels like it's preparing for something important. It's because the final test of November is already behind you, and you passed without even realizing it. You didn't pass because you were perfect. You passed because you refused to abandon yourself again. This is the moment when the universe finally says, she's ready. Ready to receive the truth instead of waiting for it. Ready to be loved instead of begging for love. Ready to walk in alignment instead of survival. Your divine masculine can feel this shift too. Your silence suddenly speaks louder than your pursuit ever did. Your peace has become magnetic. Your detachment has become a wake-up call his soul can no longer ignore. Something is approaching, fast. A reveal, a breakthrough, a moment where everything that was hidden finally steps into the light. If your heart has been beating differently, if your intuition has been louder, if you feel like something big is just about to unfold, it's because it is. The next few minutes will show you exactly what the universe is doing right now, and how close you truly are to everything you've been praying for. Don't look away, don't pause, don't leave before your soul hears what it came here to hear. You didn't come all this way for nothing. Stay until the end, because what I'm about to reveal will change the way you see this entire journey. Divine Feminine, take a breath. Feel your body soften for a moment, because whether you were aware of it or not, you just crossed one of the most important thresholds of your entire twin flame journey. You passed the final test of November, and that is why your heart feels different. That is why your energy feels upgraded. That is why the same fears that once controlled you can no longer find a home inside you. Something shifted, something deep, something irreversible. This test was never about proving your love for him. It was about proving your love for yourself. It was about whether you would abandon your truth the moment discomfort appeared. It was about whether old wounds could still command your reactions. It was about whether fear still had a voice loud enough to drown out your intuition. You faced triggers that once would have broken you. You faced silence that once would have sent you into a spiral. And instead of collapsing into pain, you chose peace. You chose alignment. You chose to stay with yourself. That is why the universe is applauding you right now. You didn't beg for clarity. You didn't chase reassurance. You didn't cling to what was slipping away. You finally understood that you do not need to grip the connection in order for it to remain yours. You finally realized that what is written in the soul cannot be undone by distance or doubt. And that realization is what passed the test. Something inside you matured, not loudly, not dramatically, but deeply. You became the version of yourself that this next phase requires. You are no longer holding the connection through fear. You are holding it through certainty. You are no longer reacting to the absence. You are trusting the bond. You are no longer pleading for love. You are embodying it. And here is the truth that your soul has known all along. Once the feminine passes her test, the masculine is forced into his. Your detachment created a shift he can feel in his bones. Your calm disrupted the patterns he used to hide behind. Your peace removed the excuses he built to run. Without your fear feeding the distance begins to collapse. He can feel that you are no longer standing at the same emotional doorway. He can feel that you no longer energetically wait for him to choose you. He can feel that your heart is not calling from a place of lack anymore. And that is exactly what his soul needed to feel, so he could begin his own reveal. This next phase is not about healing. Healing already happened. This next phase is about revelation. The masks come off. The truth rises. Hidden emotions push forward. Suppressed desires demand expression. What was delayed now accelerates. What was silent now speaks. And what was uncertain becomes undeniable. You are going to notice something powerful in the days to come. Your intuition will no longer feel like guessing. It will feel like knowing. The signs will no longer show up as hints. They will show up as confirmation. You will feel alignment moving around you like the air tightening right before a storm breaks open. Not a storm of chaos. A storm of awakening, a storm of truth, a storm of destiny finally catching up. You didn't lose him. You liberated the connection from the energy that was holding it back. You didn't step away from love. You stepped into a higher expression of it. You didn't detach because you stopped feeling. You detached because you finally understood the difference between attachment and union. And the moment you understood that, the entire timeline shifted. Divine Feminine, stand where you are. Do not look back. Do not question whether you did enough. Do not doubt the transformation that already took place within you. You did not pass this test by accident. You passed because you were always destined to reach this moment. The reveal is coming. The truth is approaching. Your breakthrough is already in motion. Now the journey is no longer about waiting. It is about receiving. It is about allowing. It is about letting the love you protected internally finally show up externally. This is the moment everything begins to make sense. This is the moment the story changes direction. This is the moment you have been preparing for. You passed. Now the truth steps forward. Divine Feminine, the moment you chose yourself, everything changed. You may not have received a loud announcement from the universe, but you felt the shift. It was subtle at first, a calmness where anxiety used to live, a quiet confidence where doubt once controlled you, a deep inner knowing replacing the constant need for reassurance. That was the first sign. The test was never measured by how strongly you loved him. It was measured by how strongly you loved yourself through the silence. Something in you finally clicked. You realized that your peace is not dependent on his presence. You no longer sit in fear when he withdraws. You no longer question your worth when communication pauses. You no longer chase after answers that your heart already knows. You learned to stay still inside yourself. You learned to breathe through uncertainty. You learned to trust the invisible. This is what passing the test looks like. Your energy shifted away from longing and moved into alignment. You stopped chasing a future and started living the truth that already belongs to you. You stopped needing proof that the love was real because your soul remembered that it always was. You stopped asking, "Why isn't he here yet?" and started saying, "He will come when we are both ready." That is maturity. That is evolution. That is the shift the universe was waiting for. The old version of you would have reacted differently. You would have spiraled into fear, imagined the worst, read silence as abandonment. You would have tried to fix everything by overgiving, overthinking, overloving. But look at you now. You feel the trigger rise, and instead of collapsing, you observe. Instead of panicking, you breathe. Instead of chasing, you trust. This is how the universe knows you passed. Your heart is still open, but no longer exposed. your love is still strong, but no longer desperate. You are still connected, but no longer dependent. You didn't walk away from the journey. You walked away from the pain. You didn't detach from him. You detached from fear. And that is what sets you free. You are no longer praying from a place of, please don't leave me. You are praying from a place of, what is meant for me will always find me. And destiny responds faster to that kind of prayer because it comes from alignment, not lack. Your intuition has become clearer, louder, and more trustworthy. You don't chase signs anymore. Signs chase you. They show up everywhere now because your vibration is no longer clouded by anxiety. You are open and receptive. You are ready. You can feel that the story is changing direction. The emotional pain that once consumed you has dissolved into something else. Something like anticipation, something like expansion, something like a quiet understanding that what you asked for is all already on the way. Your soul is no longer questioning if you'll receive. It's preparing for when you will. And because you passed your test, his has officially begun. He can feel that something is different. He can feel the loss of energetic control. He can feel your independence, not as distance, but as a magnet. The moment you stopped anchoring him emotionally, he lost the comfort of knowing you would always energetically stay no matter what he did. That shift creates movement in him. It forces him to wake up. It forces him to feel. Your strength is now his mirror. Your calm is now his confrontation. Your growth is now his awakening. That is why your transformation matters so much. Because when the feminine evolves internally, the masculine evolves externally. Your shift is not just yours. It is the spark that pushes the entire union forward. Divine Feminine, you passed because you finally understood that this journey is not about how loudly you love him, but about how deeply you honor yourself. And now your soul stands exactly where it needs to be for the reveal to begin. The next phase is not waiting. The next phase is receiving. The next phase is truth stepping into the light. You did the work. You passed the test. Now everything that was hidden prepares to be seen. How he feels the shift and why he can't run anymore. Divine Feminine, the moment your energy changed, something inside him reacted. He may not show it. He may not speak about it. He may even try to convince himself that nothing is different. But deep within his emotional body, he feels the shift like a sudden coldness where warmth once lived, like a silence in a place that used to echo with your energy. He can feel that you are no longer holding the connection for both of you. Before, he could run because he always sensed you chasing, even if your feet never moved. Your heart always reached for his. Your energy always checked on him. Your anxiety always tried to keep the bond alive. That gave him the illusion of control. He felt that no matter how far he drifted, you would still be there, waiting for him to finally turn around. But now, the energy is different. You are not chasing him anymore. You are standing in your power. You are not pouring into the connection. You are pouring into yourself. And in that shift, he feels something he is not used to feeling: the fear of losing you energetically. He begins to wonder why he suddenly thinks about you without trying, why memories of you replay in his mind, memories he shoved away for so long, why he feels waves of emotion that surface at random, why he senses you pulling back, and why that terrifies him more than the idea of choosing love ever did. Your energetic detachment is a mirror he cannot escape. For the first time, he feels the void left behind by the absence of your old vibration. The comfort of knowing you were energetically there is gone. The safety net his ego relied on vanished. And now he must face the truth he avoided. You are not guaranteed to stay if he does nothing. This is where the fear shifts. He is no longer afraid of loving you. He is afraid of what happens if he never does. Your shift forces him to look at himself. It brings up everything he has been running from: the wounds he never healed, the vulnerability he never allowed, the emotions he buried, the truth he refused to claim. He is not just missing you. He is missing the version of himself he only becomes when he is connected to you. Your power awakens his responsibility. Where he once felt overwhelmed, he now feels pulled. Where he once resisted, he now feels drawn in. Where he once hid, he now begins to search. His soul is tugging at him relentlessly, because the masculine does not run from love forever. Eventually, the silence becomes too loud. Eventually, the heart he tried to bury resurfaces. Eventually, destiny becomes stronger than denial. He has reached that point. Now, every distraction begins to crumble. Nothing numbs the connection anymore. When he tries to move on, he feels restless. When he tries to ignore what he feels, he becomes emotionally closed off and irritated. When he tries to silence his intuition, it returns louder. Everything inside him is pushing him toward you. And here is the key. He can't run anymore because you aren't running after him. His ego can no longer predict your next move. His fear can no longer control the timeline. His silence no longer guarantees he won't have to choose. Your independence has cornered his avoidance. Your peace has confronted his chaos. Your evolution has awakened his purpose. The masculine rises when the feminine stops shrinking. What he feels now is not confusion, it is urgency. His soul is telling him that staying where he is no longer safe, because the biggest risk he could ever take is pretending he doesn't care about what he can't forget. He feels you moving into a new chapter, and the fear is no longer about love being too intense. It's about love slipping away. He senses that the window is closing, that the opportunity is shifting, that the story is reaching a point where he must step into it or be left behind. Divine Feminine, this is why he can't run anymore, because you stopped chasing, because you stopped doubting, because you stopped waiting, because you changed. And when you changed, the entire journey changed with you. Now, the masculine feels what you once felt, the pressure of destiny, the weight of silence, the ache of absence, the calling of the heart. He is being pulled into movement, not because of force, but because the soul will not allow resistance anymore. Your shift is his awakening. Your transformation is his turning point. Your strength is his return. Divine Feminine, the silence was never the absence of love. It was the presence of fear. When he pulled away, when the messages stopped, when the distance grew, it wasn't because he didn't feel the connection. It was because he felt it too much. And his silence became the only shield he knew how to hold. He didn't grow quiet because you were too much. He grew quiet because the love was too real. For the Divine Masculine, love has always been a battlefield, a place where vulnerability feels like danger, where opening his heart feels like losing control. He was taught to be logical, guarded, composed, yet you awakened a part of him that burns with desire, softness, longing, and truth. And that is what terrified him. His silence wasn't rejection, it was self-protection. He needed space, not to forget you, but to understand why you were the only one he could never forget. Every quiet moment he created was filled with thoughts of you. Every attempt to stay away only made your presence stronger inside him. He didn't ignore you. He battled himself. He tried to convince his heart that it was safer to let go. But his soul never agreed. That internal war is what you felt in the silence. He tried to live without speaking the truth, but the truth spoke anyway. Late at night, when everything else was quiet, his heart reminded him of what he ran from. His dreams revealed what his pride refused to say. His emotions surfaced through waves he couldn't control. Silence was supposed to help him bury the connection. Instead, it dug deeper. Because the soul does not care about excuses. The soul does not honor fear. The soul commands movement. Deep down, he always knew that you were different. Not just another connection, not just another chapter. You were the shift. You were the mirror reflecting who he truly is and who he is meant to become. And that kind of truth can break a man if he isn't ready to grow. So he hid, not from you, from himself. The silence taught him what nothing else could. That losing you, even in imagination, hurts more than facing his fears ever will. Now the silence begins to crumble because you are no longer feeding it. You are no longer holding space for his fear. You are no longer waiting for him to choose you. You have already chosen yourself. And that changes everything. Your strength exposes his avoidance. Your peace confronts his ego. Your distance forces his awakening. When the feminine stops chasing, the masculine stops running. Because the silence is no longer a comfortable hiding place. It becomes a suffocating reminder of everything he is risking by staying away. That pressure is building within him now. The urge to speak, the need to connect, the impulse to reach out. Not because he is losing you, but because he realizes he can't. The silence is not ending because the journey is over. It's ending because the real journey is about to begin. What you once saw as abandonment was actually transformation. What you felt as rejection was initiation. What hurt you shaped him. The silence was his cocoon, and now the cocoon is breaking. He is not coming back confused. He is coming back awakened. And when he speaks this time, it won't be to ease the tension. It will be to claim what his soul has already chosen. What December will reveal about the truth of the connection. Divine Feminine, December does not arrive quietly. It arrives with intention. It arrives with clarity. It arrives with revelation. This month begins a new energetic cycle, one where the truth of your twin flame connection can no longer hide in the shadows or exist only in the spiritual world. What was felt but unseen starts to become seen. What was understood only in intuition begins to show up in reality. December brings movement, not the chaotic, painful kind of movement that once made you question everything, but movement that confirms everything. The separation was never a separation of souls. it was a separation of fears. Now that your energy has evolved, his energy must catch up. And December is when that shift begins to show itself on the surface. The truth that December reveals is simple. The love did not fade. It transformed. It evolved into something stronger, something clearer, something ready to exist beyond the inner world. He will feel this transformation in every part of himself. His thoughts will return to you more consistently. His emotions will feel heavier when he tries to ignore them. His soul will become impatient with delay. The universe will begin placing him face to face with his heart. Suddenly, he will notice that the future feels empty if you are not in it. Suddenly, the people he chose as distractions will no longer comfort him. Suddenly, he will feel haunted by everything he didn't say. This is not punishment, it is alignment. His heart is being prepared for honesty. His soul is being pushed into confession. His path is being guided toward action. Meanwhile, you will feel something else happening. Not anxiety, not confusion, but a strong inner calm. You will not feel the need to question or analyze. You will not feel desperate for signs. You will not feel consumed by uncertainty. The feminine is stepping into her receptivity, and that is exactly the vibration that allows the masculine to step into his initiation. December reveals the roles reversing not in power, but in responsibility. You have already done the inner work. You have already faced the shadow. You have already rewritten your wounds. Now the masculine is being asked to do the same. And the universe does not whisper when the masculine is being called. It shakes the ground beneath his feet. The stronger you stand, the more he is pulled. The more at peace you feel, the more awakened he becomes. The clearer your heart becomes, the more restless his becomes. He may try to resist the forward motion, but resistance will hurt now. Silence will suffocate him. Distance will drain him. Every attempt to pretend he doesn't feel what he feels will backfire immediately. December removes every escape route he once used. Because running is no longer part of the story. Here is what December reveals. He loves you, not in the way that breaks you, but in the way that builds you. Not in the way that questions, but in the way that chooses. Not in the way that hides, but in the way that steps forward. And he will begin to understand that avoiding you was not protecting him, it was destroying him. December reveals that union is not a dream, it is a direction, a destination that both of you are already walking toward. The triggers, the silence, the transformation, the distance, the longing, the growth, all of it was leading here. You will begin to sense communication aligning, synchronicities intensifying, emotional pull growing stronger. Signs of breakthrough will appear where you once saw blockages, and the closer December moves toward the end, the more undeniable this truth becomes. This connection is not temporary. This journey is not random. This love is not over. December reveals that what you feared losing is finally ready to arrive. You did not imagine the connection. You did not exaggerate the love. You did not misread the signs. Your soul recognized him before your mind knew why. And now, his soul is ready to admit what yours always knew. Divine Feminine. When the truth finally arrives, it doesn't come with fireworks or dramatic speeches. It comes quietly at first, in a message that feels different from all the others, in a look that lingers too long, in a conversation that suddenly turns deeper than either of you planned. It comes when his heart can no longer bear the weight of silence. December carries this moment, the moment when the love you held inside your soul begins to step into the physical world. For him, the reveal begins with realization. He realizes that the feelings he buried never died. He realizes that running from you was running from himself. He realizes that no matter how far he went, the connection followed. And he realizes that every person he met was only a reminder of who he truly loves. That truth is heavy. It sits in his chest with urgency. It refuses to be ignored. He tries to act normal, but nothing feels normal anymore. Work feels meaningless without the motivation that thinking of you used to give him. Plans for the future feel empty because he can't picture them without you. Even his reflection in the mirror looks different because he can finally see the part of himself that has been missing. The reveal is not just about admitting his love. It is about admitting that avoiding it is no longer possible. You will notice the shift in him through energy first. His thoughts pull strongly toward you. His heart calls your name without his permission. His dreams become vivid, filled with the emotion he never spoke. His body reacts to the idea of losing you like a shock of panic that rises when he imagines you moving on. This is the moment where destiny removes his blindfold. He sees you not as a memory, not as a fantasy, not as a possibility, but as the truth, his truth. The masculine reveal is not dramatic, but it is undeniable. It comes through vulnerability, through honesty he once feared, through a breaking of pride he once held like armor. He begins to ask himself questions he avoided for years. Why does she still feel like home? Why does my heart only rest when I think of her? Why can't I forget what I feel, no matter how hard I try? And eventually, he reaches the only answer that makes sense. Because she is the one. You become the safe place he can no longer run from. You become the voice his soul trusts more than his fear. You become the destiny he can no longer deny. The reveal is the moment he chooses truth over protection, love over resistance, connection over comfort. For you, the reveal feels like peace, not rush, not anxiety. You will feel a sense of closure to all the confusion that weighed on your heart for so long. The reveal shows you that the love you carried wasn't a burden, it was a compass. It was guiding you toward a version of this connection that could finally last. Everything that once felt one-sided begins to balance. He starts giving what you always gave. He starts showing what you always saw. He starts expressing what he always felt but never allowed himself to admit. The reveal turns the invisible into the visible, the spiritual into the physical, the knowing into the proof. The unfoldment of this moment is not accidental. It arrives precisely when both of you are ready. Not perfect, ready, ready to speak, ready to act, ready to love without disappearing into fear, ready to be honest about the bond that never broke. The reveal is the moment the soul takes the lead. It is the moment the heart refuses to stay silent. It is the moment the masculine chooses love actively, not from a place of desire alone, but from a place of alignment. You will feel him stepping toward you, not because he is afraid, but because he is awakened. Not because he needs you, but because he chooses you. Not because the connection trapped him, but because it freed him. The reveal is the beginning of the life you always felt was meant for both of you. The moment where love leaves the realm of intuition and enters the realm of experience, where the question becomes the answer, where the waiting becomes arrival. Divine Feminine, you are about to witness the truth your heart has always known, finally taking form in the world you can see, touch, and call your own. Divine Feminine, if you look back on everything you have been through, there is something undeniable that rises above the chaos, above the fear, above the doubt. Your soul always knew where this story was heading, even on the days when your mind tried to convince you to give up, even in the moments when the distance felt unbearable, even when silence made you question everything. A deeper part of you held on to a truth that refused to die. You were never walking blindly. you were walking by inner knowing, and that knowing is the reason you are still here. It is the reason every attempt to move on felt like abandoning yourself. It is the reason every connection that tried to replace him failed before it even began. It is the reason you kept feeling his presence even when he wasn't physically around. You were not obsessed. You were aligned. You were not delusional. You were awakened. Your soul recognized him long before your story made sense. Every challenge you faced made you stronger. Every tear you cried sharpened your intuition. Every silence you endured taught you emotional resilience. You didn't break, you transformed. Pain didn't destroy you. It stripped away what was never yours to carry. And now you stand in a version of yourself that is finally capable of receiving the love you always dreamed of, but were not yet ready to hold. The universe wasn't testing your patience. It was preparing your heart. This journey was not punishment. It was preparation. It was necessary evolution. Because the love meant for you is not a fragile love. It is a soul love, a divine love. A love that does not crumble under pressure, but expands under truth. And both you and your masculine needed to grow into the versions of yourselves that could sustain that kind of love. He needed to confront the emotional walls he built long before he met you. You needed to release the fears that convinced you that you had to earn love. Now, both of you are shedding those illusions. Both of you are being pulled by the same magnetic destiny. Both of you are stepping out of survival and into alignment. The connection can finally breathe. It can finally rise. It can finally take its rightful form in the physical world. You didn't fail the journey. You carried it. You didn't lose the connection. You protected it. You didn't come this far to watch everything collapse. You came this far because the soul will not allow this love to end unfinished. There is a reason you could never fully walk away. There is a reason your heart kept listening even when your mind screamed to forget. There is a reason the bond always found a way to return. Because some connections are not chosen, they are destined. Your soul has always known the ending, even in the darkest chapters, especially in the darkest chapters, because those were the chapters where the light was being built. The truth is simple. This is not a love story that ends in separation. This is a love story that returns home. The waiting was not wasted time. It was sacred time. Time that shaped you into the version of yourself that could stand in the truth instead of begging for crumbs. Time that forced him to realize what he could not live without. Time that aligned every piece for a reunion that doesn't fall apart again. Divine Feminine, you are not hoping anymore. You are witnessing, not dreaming, recognizing, not surviving, rising. Your soul already knew this ending. Now your reality is catching up. Everything that was hidden is moving into the light. Everything you prayed for is making its way into form. Everything you felt so deeply is finally ready to be lived. The story is shifting. The reveal is coming. The love is returning, and this time it stays.